Hi, Reggie back speaking about healing America's narratives. We're in chapter 6, a brief history of the Vietnam War. We finished up in the previous episode speaking about, in general, the release of the Pentagon Papers, specifically John McNaughton, Assistant Secretary of Defense under Robert McNamara, and the memo that basically said that 70% of the motivation for being in Vietnam and for staying there and fighting the war as they were fighting it was to avoid a humiliating U.S. defeat. So we want to take a closer look at this idea of humiliation, which, rather the fear of humiliation is more to the point. And I'm going to argue that this fear of humiliation, and this is not an original argument with me, has impacted and continues to impact presidents, administrations, members of Congress, military officers, the teenagers and young adults they send to fight. The need to save face, I'm going to read a little bit here, to avoid shame or embarrassment, to deny the truth, whether that truth is genuine uncertainty or the certainty that what you're doing is wrong, didn't start in Vietnam. As Neil Sheehan noted in A Bright Shining Lie, that as 1942 drew to a close, college-age men, quote, felt that the country was in danger and they could not delay. Most young men who had turned the draft age of 18 and were not in uniform began to feel ashamed, unquote. So again, after Pearl Harbor, any young man who was of draft age who was not yet in uniform began to feel some shame. I want to bookend that with the writing from Tim O'Brien, who was a Vietnam veteran and a award-winning author, in his book, The Things They Carry. This is again a quote from O'Brien's work. They carried the soldiers' greatest fear, which was the fear of blushing. Men killed and died because they were embarrassed not to. They died so as not to die of embarrassment. Quote within the quote, I couldn't make myself be brave. I would go to the war. I would kill and maybe die because I was embarrassed not to. So if we juxtapose, these personal concerns with shame, blushing, and embarrassment, with John McNaughton's calibration that 70% of the justification for escalating the U.S. military involvement in Vietnam was to avoid national humiliation, we're again seeing that unhealthy masculine perspective that throughout the book, I argue, is at the core of or is foundational to all of the atrocities and all of the violence, the underlying collective national shadow that we're trying to raise awareness of here. So again, thank you for staying tuned in to what we're doing. I appreciate your returning day in and day out for those of you who actually do that, and I'll see you the next time.